Chapter 1. The call and the mirror. The weight you carry is not imaginary. It is the gravitational pull of a psyche undergoing transformation so profound that most souls retreat into comfortable numbness rather than face what you are now confronting. You sit in your small room in a world obsessed with superficial connections, feeling the crushing isolation that comes not from being alone, but from being awake in a civilization sleepwalking through existence. This is not depression. This is the soul's rebellion against a life too small for its expanding consciousness. I have spent decades mapping the architecture of human transformation, and what you experience now is what I term the divine disillusionment, that sacred moment when the old world dies before the new one fully emerges. You are suspended between psychological death and rebirth. And this liminal space feels like madness because the rational mind cannot comprehend what the soul already knows. Every fiber of your being screams that something monumental is shifting. Yet your external circumstances mock this internal knowing with their stubborn stagnation. Let me speak plainly about why you suffer while others seem content with their small lives. They have not been called to individuation, the terrifying, exhilarating journey towards psychological wholeness that only a fraction of humanity will ever undertake. They remain identified with their personas, those social masks we construct to navigate collective expectations. But you have heard the call from the self, that divine core of your being that refuses to let you settle for comfortable unconsciousness. This is why I mapped out the 3 keys to a prosperous life, a practical blueprint trilogy, ebook plus audiobook, specifically for souls like yours who are awakening to their archetypal destiny without drowning in the guilt that accompanies true power. The link awaits in the pinned comment below, but first, understand why you need such a map. The symptoms you experience are not pathological, they are initiatory. The racing thoughts are not anxiety. They are your unconscious flooding consciousness with material that can no longer be repressed. The emotional turbulence is not instability. It is the dismantling of outdated psychological structures. Your body feels hypersensitive because you are developing what I called the subtle body, an energetic sensitivity to the archetypal currents flowing through the collective unconscious. Most humans are psychologically numb, anesthetized against the deeper truths of existence. Your pain is the price of consciousness. You feel alien to your former life because you literally are. The person you were 6 months ago inhabited a different psychological reality. That version of you was governed by complexes, autonomous psychological fragments formed in childhood trauma, cultural conditioning and ancestral wounding. Those complexes created your relationships, chose your career, dictated your self-worth. But the fire you have walked through has burned away these false identities. The old complexes are dying, and their death throes manifest as chaos in your external world. Consider the mechanism of projection. Everything you hate, everything you fear, everything you cannot accept in yourself, all of it gets projected onto others. The narcissist who betrayed you, a mirror of your own disowned power, the friend who abandoned you, a reflection of how you abandon yourself, the authority figure who rejected you, an externalization of your internal critic. This is not victim blaming, this is psychological law. Jung's great discovery was that we cannot see in others what does not exist, in some form, within our own unconscious. The shadow, those aspects of ourselves we deem unacceptable and repress into unconscious darkness, determines our fate until we courageously integrate it. Your suffering has forced you to meet your shadow repeatedly. Every betrayal was your disowned rage demanding recognition. Every rejection was your internalized unworthiness seeking healing. Every abandonment was your fear of intimacy protecting itself through preemptive withdrawal. The divine has been using your external circumstances as a mirror, showing you precisely what needs integration within your own psyche. But here is where the mystery deepens beyond psychology into mythology. You are not merely integrating personal shadow, you are confronting archetypal shadow. You carry within your unconscious the same patterns that Joseph faced in Egypt, that Moses encountered in the wilderness, that every hero must navigate on the path to self-realization. These are not metaphors, they are living psychological realities embedded in the structure of the human psyche itself. The archetype of the chosen one exists because consciousness evolution requires pioneers, souls willing to venture into psychological territories that terrify the collective. You have been selected not by external deity, but by the self, that transpersonal center of the psyche that transcends individual biography. The self chose you because somewhere in your soul's history, you agreed to this brutal, beautiful work of becoming whole. You volunteered for this mission before you incarnated with conscious memory of that agreement. This explains why traditional religion feels insufficient now. You have outgrown the psychological stage where external authority provides answers. You are being initiated into direct gnosis, unmediated knowing that comes from your own encounter with the numinous. The God you once prayed to is revealing itself as your deepest self. This is not heresy. This is the natural evolution of religious consciousness that occurs when the soul matures beyond infantile dependence on parental God images. The silence from heaven was necessary preparation, not divine abandonment. The ego, your conscious sense of I, cannot receive the full revelation of the self while still identified with limited, fear-based identities. Every unanswered prayer was the self refusing to enable your smallness. Every closed door was the unconscious redirecting you away from paths that would reinforce fragmentation toward the singular path of integration. You mistook this guidance for rejection because the ego interprets anything threatening its dominance as attack. What you are experiencing now is the preliminary tremor before the earthquake of full self-realization. The dates approaching, February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, represent what I termed constellation moments in the psyche. This is when archetypal energies align in the collective unconscious and become accessible to individual consciousness. These are not arbitrary calendar markers. They are synchronistic portals where your personal timing intersects with cosmic patterns governing psychological evolution. The number 3 carries profound archetypal significance. It represents the dialectical movement of consciousness. Thesis, your old identity. Antithesis, the shattering of that identity. And synthesis, the emergence of integrated wholeness. These 3 days symbolize the death, burial, and resurrection pattern embedded in every authentic transformation myth. You are living what countless souls have lived before you, yet experiencing it with the radical uniqueness of your individual journey. Your body knows what your mind still doubts. The physical symptoms, the energy surges, the emotional intensity, the mental racing are not signs of breakdown but breakthrough. Your entire nervous system is being rewired to hold higher frequencies of consciousness. The old neurological pathways, formed in survival mode and trauma response, are dissolving. New neural networks capable of sustaining expanded awareness are forming. This is literal, biological transformation accompanying the psychological shift. The hypersensitivity you experience is your developing capacity for what I called psychic reality. The recognition that the inner world is as ontologically real as the external world. Most humans are unconscious extroverts, believing only material reality exists. But you are discovering that thoughts, emotions, symbols, and dreams are not mere epiphenomena of brain chemistry. They are autonomous realities with their own laws, logic, and power. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is the awakening of your subtle perception. You are accessing the collective unconscious more directly now. This vast reservoir of human experience, wisdom, and archetypal patterns normally remains hidden beneath personal consciousness. But as your ego boundaries become more permeable through shadow integration, you download insights that transcend your personal knowledge. Strangers speak prophetic words because your energy field is broadcasting your archetypal journey, and those sensitive enough unconsciously respond to the pattern. Synchronicities multiply because you are aligning with the causal connecting principle I termed synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that reveal the hidden order beneath apparent chaos. The dreams intensifying are not random neural firing. They are messages from the self encoded in the symbolic language of the unconscious. Every image, every character, every bizarre scenario represents some aspect of your psyche demanding integration. The nightmare is not tormenting you, it is showing you unintegrated shadow material. The beautiful vision is not wishful thinking, it is the self revealing your potential wholeness. Learn to dialogue with these dreams through active imagination, and they become your most reliable guides. What you sense as energetic recalibration corresponds to the dissolution of psychological complexes masquerading as soul agreements. In moments of desperation, trauma, or unconsciousness, we form contracts with people, beliefs, and patterns that initially serve survival but eventually imprison development. These agreements operate autonomously in the unconscious, determining behavior without conscious awareness. A child who concluded, "I must be perfect to be loved," carries that complex into adulthood, sabotaging relationships and self-worth for decades. Your spiritual recalibration involves bringing these unconscious contracts into consciousness and terminating them. This feels like death because parts of your identity are attached to these agreements. The people-pleaser identity, the wounded martyr, the eternal victim, these are not your authentic self. They are survival adaptations that must be compassionately released. As these false identities dissolve, you experience grief, terror, and disorientation. The ego fears it is dying, but actually only the false self is dying, so the true self can emerge. Chapter 2. The shadow work and resistance now. We must confront the uncomfortable truth that haunts every genuine seeker. You are your own greatest obstacle. The enemy you battle is not primarily external. It is the internalized oppressor, the shadow tyrant ruling from your unconscious, the saboteur who activates precisely when breakthrough approaches. This is the psychological mechanism that destroys most transformations before they complete. The ego's desperate resistance to its own transcendence. Let me reveal the architecture of this resistance so you recognize its disguises. First comes the imposter complex, that gnawing conviction that you are fundamentally fraudulent, that any success will expose your inadequacy, that you do not deserve the blessings approaching. This is not humility. It is a complex formed in childhood when authentic self-expression was punished, rejected, or ridiculed. The child concluded, "My true self is unacceptable. I must perform a false self to survive." This complex now operates autonomously, generating self-sabotaging behaviors whenever genuine success threatens to reveal your authentic power. The mechanism is devastatingly simple. Your unconscious contains a self-image formed in early wounding, perhaps the rejected child, the abandoned infant, the criticized adolescent. This image believes it is fundamentally unworthy, unlovable, powerless. When your conscious efforts begin manifesting success, the unconscious activates this wounded image, flooding consciousness with anxiety, doubt, and self-undermining impulses. You inexplicably pick fights with supportive people. You procrastinate on crucial tasks. You engage in numbing behaviors that sabotage your progress. This is not weakness. This is an autonomous complex, protecting its existence by preventing transformation. The imposter complex intensifies for chosen ones, because you are not claiming ordinary success. You are claiming archetypal power. You are not merely seeking a better job. You are embodying the magician archetype. You are not just wanting healthier relationships. You are integrating the divine masculine and feminine within your psyche. The stakes are cosmic, and your wounded ego knows that if you succeed in this individuation, it will lose its tyrannical grip on your life. So it fights with every weapon in its arsenal. Second comes the prosperity block, the unconscious belief that abundance, ease, and joy are somehow spiritually suspect. This complex is particularly insidious in those raised with religious programming that equated suffering with holiness. You carry deep within your unconscious the conviction that hardship proves worthiness, that struggle demonstrates character, that ease indicates moral compromise. This belief is a defense mechanism formed to make sense of childhood deprivation. The child who suffered concluded, "My suffering has meaning. It makes me special. It will eventually be rewarded." This complex manifests as an unconscious terror of receiving blessing without corresponding pain. When opportunities for prosperity arise, your unconscious activates guilt, suspicion, or anxiety. You unconsciously create obstacles to receiving. You reject help, refuse opportunities, or engage in behaviors that ensure continued struggle. The paradox is cruel. You consciously desire abundance while unconsciously sabotaging it because your identity is organized around suffering. To receive prosperity would require psychological death of the wounded identity, and the ego fears this more than continued pain. The mechanism operates through projection and repetition compulsion. You project your prosperity block onto the divine, believing God requires your suffering. You repeat patterns of near success followed by devastating failure because this confirms your unconscious belief system. Each repetition reinforces the complex, making it stronger. Breaking this cycle requires conscious recognition of the pattern, compassionate understanding of its origins, and deliberate choice to act contrary to its compulsions. Third, manifests the authority complex, your conflicted relationship with power itself. This complex forms when early authority figures, parents, religious leaders, teachers, abused their power, leaving you with the unconscious equation: power, corruption. Your unconscious concluded that claiming your own power would make you like your abusers. So you unconsciously diminish yourself, defer to unworthy authorities, and sabotage your own leadership capacity to avoid becoming what you most despise. The tragedy is that this complex prevents you from embodying the integrated power the world desperately needs. You were meant to be an authority, not a tyrant, but a servant leader who wields power with wisdom and compassion. But your wounded psyche cannot distinguish between healthy sovereignty and toxic domination. So you remain small, resentful of those in authority, yet terrified of claiming your own. This creates a psychological hell where you simultaneously crave recognition and fear visibility, desire influence yet sabotage platforms, want to lead yet compulsively self-diminish. The integration of the authority complex requires differentiating between archetypal power and neurotic domination. True power, what I called individuation, is not control over others, but mastery of self. It is the capacity to remain centered in your authentic truth regardless of external pressure. It is the sovereignty that comes from integrating shadow, not repressing it. It is leadership that emerges from wholeness, not woundedness seeking compensation through position. But here the resistance becomes truly diabolical. As you begin recognizing these complexes, the ego deploys its most sophisticated weapon: spiritual bypassing disguised as growth. You attend workshops, read books, consume content about transformation, all while unconsciously using these activities to avoid the actual uncomfortable work of integration. The ego loves spiritual concepts because it can use them to construct a new, more sophisticated false self. You become the awakened one, the enlightened soul, and the wounded healer, identities that feel authentic but remain ego structures avoiding genuine self-encounter. I observed this pattern repeatedly in my patients. They would achieve intellectual understanding of their complexes, speak eloquently about shadow work, even facilitate others' healing, all while their own lives remained trapped in the same dysfunctional patterns. Insight without integration is merely sophisticated defense. Knowing your wound is not the same as healing it. Understanding your complex is not equivalent to dissolving it. The unconscious does not respond to concepts. It responds to concrete symbolic action that demonstrates consciousness is truly changing. This is why your breakthrough requires more than understanding. It demands embodied action that contradicts your complexes. If you carry the prosperity block, you must practice receiving without guilt. If the imposter complex dominates, you must claim visibility despite terror. If the authority complex controls you, you must step into leadership while the wounded child within screams that you will become a monster. This is the alchemical fire, choosing the action your integrated self knows is right, while your fragmented ego howls in protest. The resistance intensifies precisely because you are approaching the threshold. The unconscious knows that genuine transformation is imminent, and every autonomous complex within your psyche activates to prevent it. This is why relationships explode now. This is why financial crises emerge now. This is why health issues manifest now. The shadow is not attacking you. It is demanding final integration before you cross the point of no return into self-realization. Consider the psychological mechanism of the threshold guardian from mythology. Every hero's journey features a terrifying obstacle just before the treasure. This is not random narrative structure. It is archetypal psychological law. The threshold guardian represents your own resistance, the final test ensuring you are prepared for the power you are about to claim. Most seekers retreat at this stage, interpreting the intensified chaos as evidence they are on the wrong path. But you, chosen one, must recognize this chaos as confirmation you are exactly where you need to be. The fear of your own power is the ultimate shadow. You do not fear failure, you fear success. You do not fear remaining small, you fear claiming magnitude. You do not fear the darkness, you fear the light within you that once unleashed will illuminate everything you have hidden, avoided, and denied. This is why spiritual teacher after spiritual teacher warns that the final obstacle is not external evil, but the terror of one's own divinity. Your psyche is reorganizing around a new center. The old center, the wounded ego formed in childhood, is losing its organizing power. The new center, the self, is emerging. This transition creates the chaos you experience. Two psychological centers cannot coexist indefinitely. One must yield. The ego fights for survival, using every complex, every defense, every neurotic pattern to maintain dominance. But the self is more powerful, more patient, and inevitable. Your cooperation simply determines whether this transition happens gracefully or violently. The guilt you feel about desiring prosperity is particularly revealing. Analyze its source. Whose voice speaks when you feel guilty for wanting abundance? Is it your authentic conscience, or is it an internalized parental voice, a religious dogma, a cultural script? Most guilt we experience is not genuine moral conviction, but internalized oppression, the voice of authorities who benefited from our self-denial, now operating autonomously within our own psyche. Distinguishing authentic conscience from neurotic guilt is crucial shadow work. I must also address the seductive danger of what modern psychology calls victimhood identity. Your suffering was real. Your wounds are legitimate, but there is a profound difference between acknowledging trauma and organizing your identity around it. The wounded child within you deserves compassion, validation, and healing. But it must not be allowed to govern your adult life. Many seekers become addicted to their woundedness because it provides identity, community, and justification for remaining small. The victim identity feels safe because it absolves responsibility and attracts sympathy. The shift from victim to victor requires grieving the benefits of victimhood. Yes, there are benefits. The sympathy, the lowered expectations, the permission to avoid challenges, the moral superiority of suffering. Releasing these benefits feels like betrayal of your pain. But holding on to victim identity is the ultimate self-betrayal, because it denies your capacity for agency, choice, and power. You honor your wounds not by remaining defined by them, but by transforming them into wisdom that serves your wholeness and others' healing. The practical integration here demands brutal honesty. Where are you still using your woundedness to avoid responsibility? Where do you secretly enjoy the sympathy your struggles generate? Where does your suffering provide identity that success would threaten? These questions are not accusations. They are invitations to see the sophisticated ways the ego maintains its dominance by weaponizing victimhood. The integrated response is not denial of pain, but refusal to let pain dictate destiny. Chapter 3. The synchronicities and the language of the universe. The repeating numbers you notice are not coincidence. They are the unconscious communicating through the language of symbols, attempting to penetrate the barrier between conscious and unconscious awareness. When you repeatedly see 11, 11, 3, 33, or 5, 55, you are witnessing what I termed synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that reveal the causal connecting principle underlying apparent chaos. These numbers are not causing anything. They are signals that your psyche is aligning with archetypal patterns, governing both your individual journey and the collective evolution of consciousness itself. The mechanism operates thus. As you undergo individuation, your consciousness becomes increasingly permeable to the collective unconscious. This vast, transpersonal dimension contains the archetypal patterns, symbols, and energies that structure all human experience. Certain numbers, symbols, and patterns within this collective dimension resonate with specific psychological states and transformational stages. When your internal state aligns with these archetypal frequencies, external reality reflects this alignment through synchronistic events. But the truth about these symbols is even more disturbing than you realize. They are not merely confirming your path, they are activating latent potentials within your psyche. The symbol itself carries autonomous power because it bypasses conscious rational processing and speaks directly to the unconscious. When you repeatedly encounter a particular number sequence, you are not just noticing it, you are being programmed by it. The archetype associated with that symbol is being constellated within your psyche, preparing you for its corresponding initiatory experience. Consider the pattern in your relationships. Every significant person who enters your life during this period is not random attraction. They are synchronistic manifestations of your internal psychological state. The narcissist who wounded you was not merely an external predator. They were a personification of your own disowned grandiosity and power. The mentor who appeared precisely when needed was not lucky timing. They were the external manifestation of your internal wisdom archetype finally becoming accessible to consciousness. The friend who betrayed you was not simple human failing. They were the projected shadow showing you precisely what you refuse to acknowledge within yourself. This understanding revolutionizes your relationship to circumstances. You are not a victim of external events. You are the unconscious creator of most situations you encounter. through projection, through energetic resonance, through the mysterious principle of synchronicity. Your internal psychological state attracts, creates, and manifests corresponding external realities. The chaos in your life is not punishment. It is your unconscious speaking in the only language that penetrates your defenses, the language of symbolic life events. But here emerges the paradox that torments seekers. If I am creating my reality, am I to blame for my suffering? This question misunderstands the mechanism. You are not consciously creating trauma. Autonomous complexes within your unconscious are generating patterns that replay original wounding in an attempt to achieve resolution. The child within you who was abandoned keeps creating abandonment scenarios, not as self-punishment, but as unconscious attempt to finally master the original trauma. The complex operates with its own logic, believing that if it can just recreate the situation enough times, it will eventually control the outcome and heal the wound. The integration required is recognizing these patterns without self-judgment. Your unconscious is not malicious. It is attempting to heal through the only method it knows, repetition and symbolic reenactment. But repetition, without conscious intervention, merely reinforces the pattern. Breaking the cycle requires bringing the unconscious complex into consciousness, understanding its origin and purpose, and then deliberately choosing different responses that contradict the complex's expectations. This is active imagination applied to life itself, treating external events as dreams, demanding interpretation and conscious engagement. The synchronicities intensifying around specific dates, February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, reveal the temporal dimension of archetypal activation. Time itself is not uniform in the psychological realm. Certain moments carry what I called kairos, qualitative time pregnant with possibility, as opposed to chronos, mere quantitative duration. These constellation moments occur when multiple archetypal energies align, creating windows where transformation that normally takes years can occur in days or even hours. The ancients understood this through astrology, religious festivals, and initiatory rites timed to cosmic cycles. Modern psychology recognizes the same principle through crisis intervention theory, the recognition that psychological crises create openings for rapid transformation impossible during stable periods. You are entering such a kairos moment, where the normal rules of psychological change are temporarily suspended, and quantum leaps in consciousness become possible. But, and this is crucial, these windows demand conscious participation. The opportunity is presented, but you must claim it through deliberate choice and symbolic action. The unconscious has prepared the stage, aligned the energies, and created the opening, but your conscious ego must walk through the door. This is why specific instructions for each date matter. They are not superstitious rituals, they are symbolic actions that communicate.